Well, it's mid-October. It's probably the last time I'll do this. I just pulled out the last of the tomatoes that I'm going to try to do something with, but I figured I'd get a quick rundown of where everything is. I have treated all three sequoias the same way. One is surviving and getting taller, one is completely dead, and one is probably almost dead. Have done nothing different between the three. I'm debating on my one lone tomato that I never put in the garden. As you see, it never got any bigger because it was in that can. I may put it in a pot and see what it does in the orangery over the winter. I mean, I've got like new leaves and stuff, and it tried to flower at one point, but it just doesn't have anything with it, so I didn't let it do that. But it could be interesting. I have a rebounded lemon plant. As you can see, most of it died last year. I think I overwatered it, but some roots survived. And in the meantime, I purchased off of Facebook a lemon tree. Good deal. I can't complain about that. That is actually flowering. So we'll see if I get any lemons off it, and I won't overwater it. The lime tree is doing well. I mean, it's fall, so it's dropped a few leaves, but it's certainly put on a lot of growth, and apparently I did not overwater it last year, so it survived. The aloe that I got doesn't look great. The ginger is still going. I need to put it in the orangery. A cold snap's coming. And fire pit is basically set up. I got the new fire pit. I am working on putting the grill out there. That'll probably happen later this weekend, and we'll see how, festive that can be. Still happy with the pondless waterfall. I need to still do the foaming in place of the final location for all of the rocks, but that'll happen. We did get the electricity, exterior electricity done. I just haven't done the permanent runs, so that'll eventually happen too. Butterfly bushes are still going strong. I've had a lot of monarchs around. I'm like, why aren't you going to Mexico? But at least they have something to forage on when they show up. I'm really hoping they have taken off because we've got a cold snap blowing in this afternoon. And I've been watering. I moved the 3 apple trees from outside the deer fencing to inside the deer fencing. The middle one suffered a little bit, but now I've got 9 in there, good cross-pollination, good distance between them, and next year they should all be fine. So we'll see. Anyway, I am going to be moving some of this stuff. The lavender that's in here, the rosemary that's there, they're going to be happier with less water. And the old fire pit that is down there, I am going to pot them up in that. It's got a lot of vermiculite. I'll water them less frequently. They'll be happier. The hascaps are going well. I mean, they're all surviving and putting on size, and it'll be a few years before they get really in production stage, but little by little, it's happening. I have not pulled the chives, and I apparently have also not killed the chives by not watering them all year. But there are no aphids in there, so maybe they went for greener pastures. I really do need to cut back the lavender, but we still have bees, and I don't want to take food away from the bees. I've got one foraging out there now. So that'll eventually happen. Butterfly bushes back here have put on a little bit of size, which is good. I'm looking for them to get nice and big and fill in sort of that area back there. I actually had a volunteer sun-credible sunflower come up. That is a sun-credible. That is, look at the leaves, look at it. That's what that is. And it came up in this pot by itself this year. I wondered all year what it was going to be. So I'm going to dig that out and put it in a small pot and try to overwinter it. I mean, it's too cold here for it to be outside, but it might survive in the orangery, and then I can transplant it next year. Who knows? Anyway, and I am definitely doing the Chelsea chop on the helianthus. I mean, it's just huge. And anyway, vermillionaires have been great. The butterflies and the hummingbirds have finally sort of stopped on them. Everything else is good. Basil's going into the orangery later this afternoon. Of course, that pot stays out with the catmint. Everything else in the garden is doing really well still. And by the way, the loofah has made it to the other side. I cut it back every weekend. My God, never grow it. I don't know what these sunflowers are going to do. It looks like they're trying to, finish off. But they were cute. This is always my argument. I mean, they look cute for, a couple weeks until they open up, and then they all tuck their heads and, yeah. And I guess if you put in a 12-foot sunflower, you want it to bend its head so you can see it. But I don't get it. So, I still have some honey nut butternut squash trying to do something. We'll see. Pretty much the calendulas are spent. I did put in kale, battling slugs and other stuff. And I used some of my seed from my pak choi just to see if it would germinate. And yes, it did. And again, slugs. So, that's a battle for next year. The beets are doing really well. Mike should be really happy because the red beets are awesome and the golden beets along the other side are just still spotty. So, it is what it is. Second round of carrots are doing well. The celery and celeriac has certainly bounced back from being, the nursery for all those cute little black swallowtail caterpillars. And some of my cilantro did take. Yay! We'll see. I have self-seeded, as is the case all out here, Amaranth, both Love Lies Bleeding and Red Spike. Yay! But I'm going to be taking these apart. I'm going to take the angled sides off of this one and the one at the far end that still has perpetual spinach in it. And I'm going to raise them into, an equal side square, and then they're each going to have indeterminate tomatoes in there next year. And then I'm going to leave the middle one, which I planted a late cucumber out of curiosity. I don't expect to get anything off of it. I was just curious how it would do in temperature. That one is going to be my one, cold frame for this winter, and I'll sow a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of kale in there, although kale does well outside, so maybe not. Maybe just lettuce. God, that's too much lettuce. Trust me, it's too much lettuce. I have a lot of lettuce. I just pulled out 2 heads today that they're just too much. Now, these are also from seeds I saved from a previous year, so yay. Apparently I'm doing that well. So I re-sowed broccoli and broccoli rabe and kohlrabi, and that's all self-seeded parsnips because I didn't get the seeds early enough. Good to know that those are viable as well. And so we'll see how all this does, but I went after it hard to try to prevent the slugs from taking out this round, and apparently it worked. So kale has bounced back since I got rid of the harlequin bugs manually. And of course, having them uncovered meant that I'm now battling a little bit of cabbage looper because the white butterflies are still around. But again, it's learning. It's a learning year. I'll do better next year. I have cut back and stored seed from a lot of the red spike amaranth. And next year, I'm going to plant it. We're going to cut back all that high grass on the far side of the shed because that is a steep slope. And then I'm going to spread red spike amaranth because I'd rather see that than, grass. And then it'll self-seed because trust me, it will self-seed everywhere it gets a chance. So the rest of the bed is, kind of settling in. I'll finally pull the carrots out after the first cold snap. We've got a cold front coming in later this afternoon, actually, and we'll see how that goes. I actually got some peanuts, and whatever. I'm not growing them again. It was cute. It was fun. I had some. Who knew? I'm finally done sort of gathering most of the calendula. I'm letting some of those go to seed. I've got a few seed heads in there. Once I'm sure I've got a few good seed heads, then the rest of them I'll bring in and dry and save those for Liz and Elizabeth. This is the backside of the indeterminate bed that I have battled, obviously, loofah going across from its little vines on that side. But the good news with it is I went through today and I pulled out all of the tomatoes. I wanted to try the wrap in newspaper and store in a cardboard box method. And then as you want to use them, you pull a few, put them in a smaller cardboard box with an apple, and they should ripen. Who knows? I'm told it really does work. So, alrighty, we'll give it a shot this year. But as you can see, the loofah is still thinking it's spring and summer, which I can't argue. The bees and butterflies and everything else have loved them. So they've certainly been a nice little pollinator thing, but never grow them again. Anyway, if I haven't said that enough, that is truly my thought. Who knows? I threw sweet potatoes in there. Actually, I threw a sweet potato in there, and I'm like, what will it do? Well, it gave me vine. You know, who knows? It had thrown out some little eyes, and I was like, why not? Throw it in the ground. We'll see what happens. I have volunteer lettuce again this year. Volunteer lettuce from a volunteer lettuce. Someday I'll get better about that. The eggplants have made many people very happy, and they're cute, and I've used them a few times, but I got all eggplanted out when I was in Japan, so I don't really need to eat them ever again. Peppers are finally coming on. I have been battling to get them more light, and of course part of that was cutting back loofah. But I gotta tell you, the little Turkish eggplants that are in here, I mean, they are cute. And then I've got regular long Asian, and I've got black beauties in the back. You probably can't see them, but like I said, I've shared those with people at work who are excited about getting them, as opposed to me who's like, no, I don't want them. So the bell peppers are coming on. I left this one here because the army worms apparently love to go after that one. So please leave the others alone and continue eating that one. I'll be okay with that. So yeah, I'm pleased about peppers. We love peppers. And now that they're getting a little more sun, hopefully they'll finish off. But yeah, I seem to have a decent little crop. I didn't stake them well, so obviously they're not really happy with me. But I'll do better next year. Just keep saying that for everything I'm doing. It'll happen, damn it. I'll learn to space them out. So what I had in this run and in this run will spread out over the entire square next year. Now that I'm doing the additional raised beds, I'm going to put in at least one more next year. It depends on, my motivation in the spring. At least one more will go in. I mean, heck, I could put in one a year over the next few years and finish my run of covered raised beds. And, but like all the stuff I had in here, I had a whole run of beets. I had leeks, and then the backside was all onions. None of those need to be in an open bed that can be pollinated. All of them can be covered. So that's what's going to happen. And then once I have 4 beds, I can easily do rotations. So, and then I'll just have to be good about this. This is going to be tomato and peppers in perpetuity. And I got bush cucumbers. I don't know that I'm going to do vining. I'd probably do a couple of vining cucumbers, but, certainly never do loofahs again. So anyway, here's a better look at the house caps. I think they're ready for, the season to end. Get sort of put away. That's another pollinator pot that I'm going to actually put over here when I make the down ramp for the backside for a gravel walk. And then there's a better look at the apples we've got in. Closest to me in that grid did have some apples. It was from outside, but I mean, we hadn't really done anything with them. It was a cicada year, and you know, we were just trying not to have cicadas break off all the branches. So next year we'll do better. And that's about it for this year. You know, I mean, everything's coming along nicely. Got the fire pit set up the way I wanted it. Todd doesn't love it. It's not cozy anymore. It's an outdoor fire pit. Of course it's not cozy. But, you know, you can have people over. It all matches. Yay! I moved all the barrels down there. Got them glass tops so that, you know, we had a good surface for stuff. So that's all good. Oh, and one thing that has happened is we've added more solar. So, and we have 4 panels on the other side of that, and we added 2 more power walls. So one of the friends asked, does that mean that you can go off grid? No. Certainly not in summer. Perhaps as of tomorrow and through winter and into most of spring, we should be net metering, you know, energy back into the grid. But we're not doing that. But certainly we'd like to be able to offset, and since we have such a delicate electrical grid out this way, it's nice to know that we have a good backup and a good way to deal with stuff. So, because it does go out at the drop of a hat, and you know, it's kind of frustrating. And then I'm probably going to start working on the orangery to get it ready for, you know, next year. I finally did screen in my exterior window, the upper right window on the short side, so that I could open that window and get ventilation, because it does get hot in there. And like I said, I need to work on my potting area. I've accumulated stuff and I need to get rid of boxes. So there you have it. But yeah, everything is pretty happy right now. So I'm happy that it's happy, and I'm kind of happy that the push of this year is over. At some point, I get to start to relax and enjoy it a little more than, you know, actually building things. So yeah. So we'll see how things go. It's been a really mild summer and fall. Well, it's been a hot and drought summer, but you know, we kept everything going, but a mild fall. So if this continues, there could still be, you know, good growth for another month or so. We'll see. The goal is this year not to be injured at Thanksgiving, so that I can actually cook a Thanksgiving dinner, which didn't happen last year, and I had 3 years where I was in a cast, so I just need to be careful. But yeah. Anyway, that's all for now.